All right, hello, Honors 410. So, to start out today's class, I wanted to talk about some kind of nuts and bolts things going on with the class. In particular, we're at the end of week 2 here. As we transition, particularly to week 4, the mode of this class is going to change substantially, where it's going to be far fewer video lectures. The focus is going to be on our workshop process, where in that part of class, it's going to be all about students submitting their work in kind of longer form, longer than we did for the communal writing project. Also, they're going to be standalone pieces students are going to work on. I'll share the assignment prompt, but I want to talk a little bit more about this whole workshop process, just because I know it's a little bit different than how this class operates ordinarily. And if you're not someone who's taken a lot of creative writing classes, might seem just sort of different in general. So what this will look like is that starting on, let me make sure I'm getting my dates right here. So starting on Friday of week 3, we'll have a first set of students. It'll be up to 4 students per kind of workshop day. Submit their stories for the rest of the class to read. The idea is that that's the homework reading for the following class. So, work's going to be due on Friday. So on Monday, the class discussion is going to assume everyone has read all of their peers' work, and the discussion is going to be about those stories and giving kind of a sense of what we liked about them, what was working well, as well as the flip side of that, what we have questions, suggestions, ideas about. I tend to frame this less as like, this is bad, this is the way we should make it better, but more as like, this is already successful. What can we do to make this even better? So with that, again, first set of them is going to be due Friday of week 3. Week 4 is going to be our first class discussion based on a set of student stories. And then also that Monday of week 4 is going to be when the second cluster of submissions is going to be due. And we'll just kind of keep cycling through that. So I built into the schedule 6 rounds of, no, it's actually 7 rounds for this class, 7 rounds of workshop. So with that, we'll have a set number of people submitting their work. And then again, the expectation is everyone's reading those stories. I think I misspoke before. I said 4 stories. I'm going to cap it generally at 3 stories unless something funky happens with the schedule, with the demands. We have 4 in this given day, but the plan will be 3 stories a day. We'll still have a couple open slots throughout that process, just based on the way the calendar kind of plays out. But what I'm going to ask is for you to send me your preferences about when you'd like to go in this workshop process. So in the notes for today's class, what I intend to do is post a schedule that's kind of blank. So it's going to have the date a story would be due and the date we would be discussing it, 7 times to cover those 7 workshops. Some blank lines underneath there. That's where I'm going to ultimately fill in student names. So what I'd like to ask you to send me is a sense of your preferences. You can send me specific dates, but actually what I would prefer is if you could send me just a general sense of, I'd like to go early, towards the middle, or late in this process. I generally find most classes where I've done this, it usually works out relatively cleanly, that everyone gets at least roughly what they wanted, just based on different work style preferences, different schedules, so on and so forth. So I'm going to ask you to give me those insights no later than Monday at 10 a.m. So you can email me, you can Canvas message me, whatever sort of works for you. I'll try to honor everyone's preferences best I can. If there is a major conflict where like everyone wants to go really early or really late, and obviously not everyone can do that, I'll do my best to kind of cipher through, if there were certain reasons you gave me why you needed to go at a certain stage in the process. If you give me a specific date, you cannot do it. Just because things are like extremely like kind of crazy. In an asynchronous class like that, that's less of a concern, but nonetheless, if you know that just in your life, it's going to be way easier if you get to go to a certain spot, let me know those things. I'll try to take them into account, and some of those specific spots that are especially hard for you, let me know those, and I'll try to take that into account as well. But if there are kind of conflicts and there's not explicit reasons why people need to go at certain points in time, it'll be kind of a first come, first serve basis thing. So first people to message me or emailing me, I'll start slotting them into the calendar, and we'll kind of work on that basis. I encourage you, even if you don't have any preferences, please still send me a message just letting me know that as well. That's helpful. So I know that you're super flexible about it. I'm not kind of waiting for a response from you. If I don't hear from you by Monday at 10 a.m., though, I'm going to assume that either you didn't have a preference or for whatever combination of reasons you don't want to tell me what that preference is. So I'll go ahead and put you in the schedule just sort of with whatever spots are left available at that point. Okay, so I hope that's mostly clear. Again, make sure you're looking at the notes below as well, and hopefully that will help kind of fill in some of the blanks about what's going on for that aspect of class. Carrying on from there, though, let me go ahead and dive into the reading we had assigned for today. I'm going to try to keep this short again because I know we also will have a group-led discussion video, and we also have the communal writing project in process here. So the story that we have here is starting the Anne McBee collection, How Rabbit Went Down on Their Mishaps. This is the story Suck. So from this story, I wanted to start out just at the very beginning here. Page 1 of this thing, let me just rearrange my notes here to make sure I'm looking at the right things here. Okay, so page 1, the very first paragraph of this thing, I'll go ahead and read that. One cold day, Harry Bilson noticed that his vacuum cleaner was making a hideous noise, a piercing, strangled squall. He had hauled out the old beast to give the carpet a once-over, flecked as it was with scads of just barely visible debris. Dead skin from Harry's nervous picking at his cuticles, a few grains of minute rice, stray salt scattered for luck, and something that looked like ash, which was strange because Harry didn't smoke. Had Addie been there, she would have never have allowed it to reach such a state, but she was gone. So I wanted to start here just because I think it's an interesting start to a story, much less a whole book, a collection of stories, in sort of feeling in some ways sort of mundane to me, but also establishing some of Harry's character and some of his dynamics with Addie. And so in any event, I'm curious as to when you read this, what this sort of establishes for you, what your reactions are to it, what we think of kind of starting at this point here. To carry on from this is the end of page 2 into page 3, we have these other items she picked up gradually while he was at the bar or the office. We have this list of items here, and then a number of specific lists in the first section. I'm curious as to the effect of getting this in sort of a list form, and also what this list of items is, what it sort of consists of. Again, this is bottom of page 2 into top of page 3. How this sort of informs our understanding of our characters and their situation. Carrying on to page 4 here, this last paragraph before the section break here. Let me go ahead and read this longer paragraph as well. Again, Harry confronted the vacuum. For an hour, he struggled with the new bag. Covered in sweat by the time he finally wrestled it into position. Harry doubted that they even made bags for that model anymore. When he turned it on and began to run it over the mess on the floor, the noise was still worse, something between a sort of gaseous, curdled scream and a broken bagpipe. The sound shot hot pins in his gut. Gritting his teeth, he turned the vacuum off and then kicked it, sending a dart of pain from his toes to his ankle. He recalled his father had once stubbed his toe on the vacuum in the night and accused his mother of leaving it there in the hallway on purpose. Now that Harry was finished, however, the mess was gone. In its place, the carpet fibers were pulled into clean, rigid rows. So for this part here, I'm just curious about sort of we get elements like sense of sound, sense of touch here. And I'm curious as to sort of the value of sensory details like this, what that sort of gives us, how that's sort of effective in a piece of creative writing more generally, as well as localized to this really specific example here. Cutting ahead here to page 7, we have this italicized middle line. Well, no wonder it's not working, she said. It's all in pieces. And then we have the other italicized parts here. So it's loud, huh? God, I always dreaded that using that stupid thing. And then more so at the following paragraph, more than loud, atomic bomb loud, air raid siren loud, smoke detector gone mad, buzzsaw, hurricane, level 5. And so I wanted to focus particularly on that first italicized section that I read to you there. Just that I'm going to contend that this sort of feels like almost a thesis for this story. Pieces of fiction generally don't have thesis statements properly, but sometimes we have like a certain line that kind of stands out and feels like it's kind of embodying the heart of the piece. And this is one of those times I'm going to suggest where it seems as though well, no wonder it's not working. It's all in pieces. Sort of feels like it's at the heart of this story of kind of how these people are kind of functioning together, how Harry in particular's life is functioning or not functioning, as the case may be in this particular case. Let's see, let me go to the next page here, page 8, and look at these third and fourth paragraphs. Let's see, Addie said, and leaned over to turn on the Schubervax switch so that the agonizing sound filled the room. Oh my God, it's like someone being tortured and having an orgasm at the same time. Unfortunately, Harry's hand was still in contact with the mouth of the vacuum when she unleashed its furious power. As the monster snatched and began devouring the middle 3 digits of his right hand, it was indeed difficult to discern Harry's cries of pain from those of sexual ecstasy. Joint by joint, Harry's fingers were inhaled into the body of the vacuum with a series of sickening crunches. It seemed that each knuckle it consumed burst open and collapsed, releasing the tender insides like the crisp bottom of ice cream cones or Tootsie Pops licked down to their cores. Harry tried to pull his hand free, but the vacuum would not release him, its orifice instead appearing to suck harder and even to widen like the jaws of a snake. He believed the thing would draw him in whole, that it would suck in his entire body, arm, shoulder, head, torso, and legs. So for this part here, I think it's interesting because we kind of get this connection between the vacuum and sex, this idea of pleasure and pain, and it's sort of being complicated and scary, like sort of easing back into sex when it's on these uneasy terms, this intimacy between Harry and Addie. And I also want to remember it's all predicated on her borrowing this sort of dinosaur of a vacuum that she hated using. I think there's a way we can readily read this as that being an excuse for her to visit with Harry. So with all of that, I wanted to kind of sort of ask in general, where do we think Harry and Addie would go from here? Do we think they're going to ultimately stay together, or they're going to stay in each other's lives in sort of different ways? And beyond that, why start with this story in this overall collection? I think it's sort of just an interesting story, if nothing else, for this concept of something clearly inanimate and kind of ultimately kind of mundane, kind of boring, a vacuum cleaner, sort of becoming a character in and of itself in very speculative ways. Okay, I'll go ahead and leave it at that. It's turned out a little bit longer than I intended, but I hope that's all right with folks. I look forward, as always, to our discussion here of this piece, as well as getting your workshop preferences and sharing any questions about that whole process and that assignment ahead. And otherwise, obviously, we have our other aspects of the class going on now as well. So I appreciate you all engaging with all of this. Look forward to our discussion as always, and I'll catch you next time.